So the NBA ratings are down. Wow. Gee, I'm so surprised. Now I've heard a lot of things about this. One of the things have been a lot of 3-point shooting and more so a lot of 3-point misses, right? It's not as much excitement. Now here's the thing. I remember years ago, I was sitting there with my godbrother Mike and my boy Andre, and we was playing NBA Live 2002. Matter of fact, it was the Christmas 2001 season, right? It's playing this game right here. Steve Francis, right? Now, you know, cool thing is, back in the day, they used to put a little art on the back. It said, "Life in the paint, over 40 new dunks. Look good while playing good. Own the paint, dominate, whatever." That was the type of game I like. These guys kept shooting threes, and I remember getting so frustrated, right? And he was like, "Well, why are you mad? Because I'm making a house." And I was being a little petty little brat. I was like 14, whatever, 15. But I never was a fan of the excessive 3-point shooting. Never was. And now we'll see that there's a lot to do with the reason why the NBA ratings are down. Now, I believe there's other reasons, but I'll bring that up. Coming up on this week's episode of Breaking Through Glass Ceilings.
I'm excited to talk more about my background.
Also worked in so many places of media, which you will find out more. Two friends who like wrestling that talk about wrestling. To now, let's start a podcast. And you know,
grassroots style, the way me and Brian have done it. Every opportunity is an opportunity.
Kind of makes me want to step my game up a little bit more just because the space is so oversaturated. Anyone can start a podcast.
I live in New York City, so there's, opportunity everywhere in New York. Like, everyone's doing something. You go to a bar for happy hour, the bartender has a business.
And you apply that same strategy to network. You being very intentional. Find your why. What's the reason? Then do it.
Podcasting allowed me to break out of my comfort zone, to break out of my shell.
This is 6HM Productions.
Before we get started with today's show, I just want to remind you that you can save 10% on your order with Symphony of Balloons, a luxury balloon company that also offers a 360 camera. Just simply mention you heard about them on Breaking Through Glass Ceilings. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Breaking Through Glass Ceilings. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, however you may celebrate. Brian H. Waters here. This show, of course, is brought to you by 6 Heart Media Production and B. Waters Productions. So I want to invite everybody to go to my other page, 6HM Media Production. 6HM Production, tagged at the bottom, me and Queen PR, we discuss a lot of trending topics, including Juan Soto going to the Mets and saying New York is a Mets town now. Y'all know Queen PR, she's from the Bronx. She's no way going to say that a team is superior than the Yankees. I mean, we all know that to be true as well, but still. But we also talked about Jaleel White, talking about black television, and Family Matters wasn't a hood show. So make sure y'all check that out. Stay tuned. We got more episodes coming up. I know we're going to talk about Travis Hunter. Like, we got to talk about that, right? And we got so much more to talk about. But today I'm going to jump on the sports side. Because I mentioned at the top of the show, the NBA ratings, right? Now, I heard a lot of things. Now, I'm going to give my 2 cents. Here's why I believe NBA ratings are down. I think there's a lack of animosity in the league. There's no serious, healthy competition. So it leads me to think this, right? LeBron James ruined the NBA. Now, I've gone on record and said LeBron James to me is the greatest basketball player of all time. I've gone on record and said that I believe when you build a perfect basketball player, it's LeBron James. But I've also gone on record and said he ruined the dunk contest by not participating. But now it make you wonder, is the long-term effect of him going to Miami, did that ruin the league? But it's not so much him going to Miami, it's leaving Miami. Because Pat Riley was upset, said he wanted to throw up to see LeBron and D Wade hugging it out. Now, You got to understand something. Pat Riley, coach of those Showtime Los Angeles Lakers, where they hated the Boston Celtics, but he was also the coach of the Miami Heat, a Miami Heat team that rivaled the New York Knicks in the mid-90s, right? This team had Alonzo Mourning, who was a former Charlotte Hornet, and the Knicks had Larry Johnson, who's a former Charlotte Hornet, and those two went at it. We didn't see that from LeBron James and D-Wade. Now, I always say this about when it comes to LeBron. You have to understand something. I've read one of his books. Well, he didn't write it. I forgot the author. Forgive me. But understanding, this is public information. Everybody knows this. LeBron James didn't have any siblings, and his brothers was his brothers on the basketball court, whom all he helped put in position to be successful. So it wasn't that typical brotherly instinct or like a Kobe Bryant who was isolated so much. So it made him want to be better than everybody. You know, it always felt like LeBron, I don't want to say seek validation, but maybe that's the word, seek validation from his teammates, his brothers. So that has become so contagious. It gets to the point that we look at a guy like Russell Westbrook, who's a dog, and we say he got that old school mentality because everybody else isn't the same way. Now, Kevin Durant is kind of does his own thing, whatever, even after leaving the Warriors. But, you know, you got Draymond who spews that old school dislike, that old school disdain. But I can tell you this. I thought it was just me. I've been trying to play NBA 2K25, right? And when I put in the game, I'm like, okay, who do I want to play with? I'm going to play with the Lakers. Okay, whatever. But I'm like, it's not as star-studded the way it used to be. And I think that's another reason for ratings being down. You look at a guy like Anthony Edwards, yes, he has the it factor. You see he get upset. You see he's a dog. He go to the rim, boom, boom, boom. But even he's talking about toning down. Ja Morant can't stay out of trouble. Jalen Brunson and the New York Knicks, they're a fun story. They're fun to watch. But I feel like the Pacers haven't taken the role that could have been that evil villain. Because you look at like, okay, they supposed to go back and forth, right? The rematch from last year. But then you look at the Boston Celtics, who are like the big bad behemoths of the East, and it's like, are we really thinking that? So we need that grit. Over in the West, like, who's really beefing? The Nuggets don't have like an arch nemesis. The LeBron and them can't beat them, but they're not their arch nemesis. You know, when you think back to the 2000s, right? And that's some of my favorite time of basketball. As I look over my NBA Live collection, I think about from like 2000, pretty much the whole decade. You know, you had the Spurs and the Mavericks, right? That entered the battle for Texas, and even throw the Rockets in there. You had the Lakers and Kings, then the Lakers and Spurs. You know, for 1 year or two, Portland and the Lakers. You know, obviously, I mentioned the Knicks and the Heat. So you had rivalries, and we all know about the Pistons and the Indiana Pacers. But where's those rivalries? Somebody help me out. You know, when is the Orlando Magic going to come aboard? Like, they got people. So I think the lack of star power and the lack of beef. Magic Johnson said everybody gets along, and I couldn't agree more. Magic Johnson is one of the nicest people you see on television. But like he said, he hated Larry Bird. We noticed that growing up. We watched that. So I'm like, yeah, I got to pin it to LeBron because, I mean, this is his league and we seeing this falter. And that's unfortunately when you're the face of the league, this is the things that happen. We already don't know who's the successor. We ask that all the time. We knew from Michael Jordan, everybody knew it was Kobe Bryant. People tried to say Tracy McGrady. They tried to say different ones. But we all know. Come on now. We all know it was Michael. Like, we all knew it was Kobe Bryant. But you had the big man in Shaq also. And Shaq didn't take no prisoners. When Kobe and Shaq broke up, it wasn't no love fest. Now, the truth is, Shaq left the Lakers because Kobe didn't want to be coached by Phil Jackson, didn't want to play with Shaq anymore. But also, Shaq was promised an extension if he went out and got some help, and he convinced Gary Payton and Karl Malone to take a pay cut to come win a championship. And the Lakers, Jerry Buss, did not fulfill his end of the deal. So I say that to say, where's the beef? NBA ratings are down. Where's the beef? You know, you think Shaq and Tim Duncan was sitting up there? Yeah, they may be hanging out back. You know, they may have been cool, but no, it was competition. And that's the thing that's missing, man. So I don't know, but I say, like I said, I go back to LeBron James. I look at the whole thing and I'm like, man, maybe we got to blame him. I don't know. We're moving on. The Baltimore Ravens have defeated the Pittsburgh Steelers in an epic matchup. Ravens win 34-17, a blowout, you know, 2 touchdowns. Shout out to Marlon Humphrey, Marlo with the pick 6. Lamar Jackson having his best game. Yeah, he threw the interception. And this is the one I'm going to say, okay, yeah, him and Bateman was off, but it just felt like, yeah, it was still somebody right there. So even if that was probably going to be an incomplete pass, right? But the fact is he beat the Steelers, right? Derrick Henry ran wild. But now all of a sudden the NFL, there's a report that Ian Rappaport put out that said Josh Allen has been playing with a broken hand. And everybody's like, no, we're not buying this. They're trying to control the narrative. Now, I'm going to say this right here on December 23rd. I believe Josh Allen will win the MVP. But I believe the MVP of the league for this year is Saquon Barkley. By a slight. I do think Lamar Jackson has the better team. And I do think the Ravens go as far as Lamar Jackson goes. But I'm going on the shift and the change of the Philadelphia Eagles. With Saquon Barkley running wild, having an opportunity to break the rushing record, I got to go with him. I got to put Derrick Henry in that conversation. But as a Ravens fan, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't want Lamar Jackson to win the MVP. I want that to fuel his fire. I want him to have his moment that Michael Jordan had in The Last Dance in 1997. Or maybe it was 98. But it was like, what was your motivation there? He said, Karl Malone won MVP. And he took that personal. I want Lamar Jackson to take it personal. And they always keep denying this man. They say he can't do this, he can't do that. Lamar Jackson couldn't pass the football, right? Lamar Jackson can't throw the out route, right? He's nearing on 4,000 passing yards. Now, he's probably going to play the next 2 weeks. If the Ravens beat the Texans on Christmas Day, they will finish the season against the Browns, right? More than likely, the Steelers, let's just say, Steelers will probably lose to the Chiefs. Even though I think they might win, but let's say they lose, right? Just based on record. Chiefs are locked because they're playing for the number 1 seed. Chiefs will pretty much lock up the number 1 seed, I believe. But then also, now you're playing for the division. So Lamar Jackson's going to have to play because if the Ravens end up tied with the Steelers will win the division. So if the Ravens win out and the Steelers lose one, boom, Ravens win the division, they got a home game. Either way, Lamar Jackson could throw for 4,000 yards this year, which is, again, dispelling everything. He's also could throw for 40 touchdown passes. The guy who they said should have been a running back. But they're trying to control this narrative that Lamar Jackson doesn't deserve the MVP, and they couldn't be wrong. But don't sit up there. I was talking to my good friend Ashley Baker, and I heard voters fatigue. And my thing is this: if you got voters fatigue, you need to strip away your votes. Bottom line. If you got voters fatigue, you vote for what's there in front of you, not, oh, well, we gave it to him before. This guy deserves it. No, whoever earns it. The same thing goes for the MLB Hall of Fame. I'm going to touch on that real quick before I get to my wish list, before I get out of here. When it comes to baseball, everybody just need to let the steroid shit go. Bottom line, it happened, right? Barry Bonds was never convicted of anything, but they're holding him out of the Hall of Fame. That's absolutely ridiculous. The MLB knew something was going on with Mark McGwire. They knew something was going on with Sammy Sosa. They knew something was going on with Roger Clemens. But you cannot tell the history of the sport without those guys. When you think back to 98, when you think back to 99, when you think back to 2001, when you think back to the 90s and the 2000s, you're thinking of all these guys. And baseball thrived better than it ever did before. I remember you would go outside, you would go into magazines, they were everywhere. Baseball ate, and it ate well when the ball was flying out of the park. You think back to a couple years ago when Aaron Judge was chasing the American League record. Everybody was into it. So to keep these guys out of the Hall of Fame or to wait to award them posthumously is absolutely ridiculous because you can't tell the history of the sport without them. So all the traditionalists can get off their high horses because they can't even do hand-eye coordination anyway. Let them in the hall. And as I get ready to close out, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to say, I don't know if this is my final episode of the year, but I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. Let me know, what is your Christmas wish of something you can't control, right? Whether it's sports, media, politics, whatever. My Christmas wish is that the Orioles sign Corbin Burns. Please. Now, I know I wish for Chris Davis, and I know it didn't go right, but you know what? Give me 3 more wishes. This is the one guy who took the Orioles and he assumed his role as the ace pitcher, and he did well. Somebody that we knew every 5 games we had a shot, and it made everything. Was he perfect? Absolutely not. But he was in the conversation. He was an all-star. Orioles, get the job done. Bring back Corbin Burns. Do whatever it takes, and let's go win the World Series next year. The Orioles and the Ravens went back-to-back to the playoffs for the first time where both teams in the same year went back-to-back since the 70s. And at that time, the Colts and the Orioles within, seasons won the championship. Let's see the Orioles do it this year. Let's see the Ravens do it this year. It's time to put Baltimore back on the map because we want bigger things. But ladies and gentlemen, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you go to 6 Heart Media. Hit the subscribe button right there. Thank you for joining me. Remember, just want to get some ads out the way. If you're looking to make your quick social media clips and you want to, get them out quickly, use the code in the bio, Brian H. Waters, for Opus Clip. If you want to have the sweat out of your face, you want to rock your team while you're going to your workouts, go to Vertical Athletics, B Waters 24. Make sure all the links are right there in the bio. Until the next time, folks, if I don't see you before 2025, you have a happy new year. And so long, everybody. And remember, do not let anyone place a ceiling above your success. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to support this podcast by wearing a t-shirt, whether it's the one that says breaking through glass ceilings or the one that says no ceilings above success, simply go to foryourwear.com. Also, you can support some of your other favorite podcasts and content creators, including Those Wrestling Girls, Seahawk, and the Wrestling Club. And you can support some of your favorite independent wrestlers, including Jay Bougie, Trisha Dora, Chaz the Dawn. Shoot, all the Pure Ignorance is on there. So go on foryourwear.com, go under personalities, you'll find Brian H. Waters, and buy a t-shirt. And remember, I'll give you a shout out on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, are you in the gym every week? Are you looking to kind of keep yourself cool while you work up a nasty sweat? Well, I got the best thing for you. Cooling bands, bandanas, cooling towels, and so much more. Go to Vertical Athletics, get your favorite team in MLS or MLB, or guess what? Now they have a custom option so you can upload your own logo and you can save 10% at checkout when you enter the code Brian H. Waters. Go to verticalathletics.com, use the code Brian H. Waters to save 10% on some of your best cooling gear.